Welcome to Ray's Chinese Movie, bringing you good Chinese stories on the screen. Hello everyone, this is Ray. In 1924, in the crowds of jugglers on the winter market in Beijing, Xiao Douzi, a 9-year-old boy born in a brothel, met Xiao Shito, an equally humble orphan who played monkey in the opera troupe, an unbelievable hero who can break bricks with his head. Xiao Douzi was born with 6 fingers on one hand. To get him a life outside of the brothel, his mother cut off his extra finger and made him another orphan in the opera troupe. Xiao Shito, the eldest and the strongest boy who always cared about him, gradually became the dearest person in his life. Chinese believe only strict teachers produce great students. In the old days, the masters of opera troupes took the teaching method from the patriarch and the predecessors and practiced a severe training featuring a lot of beating to those poor kids who didn't really choose to perform. Such cruel way of teaching was deemed necessary to prepare the kids for a living out of this cruel world, but it's also a vent for the grown-ups' unspeakable grief, living humbly at the bottom of the society. In the old time, all the members in the Beijing opera troupes were males, who played both male and female roles. Xiao Douzi has a nice face and a slender figure, so he was fixed to play girls' roles, but he couldn't accept it wholeheartedly and got a lot of hard beat from the teachers. One day, he ran away with Xiao Laizi, who was always seeking to escape. The two orphans followed across to a famous actor stage, where a wonderful performance of the Beijing opera serial Farewell My Concubine made them burst into tears. Xiao Laizi didn't know how many more beatings he would have to suffer in order to become a successful actor. But Xiao Douzi, who played Yu Ji the concubine, knew now that he yearned for the dreamlike stage, and he was unwilling to leave his loving and righteous overlord Xiao Shito. He dragged Xiao Laizi back to the opera troupe. This time, no matter how hard the master beat him, he bore it with no complaint, while Xiao Laizi, who couldn't see an easy future, chose to hang himself after finishing the Candid Horse he always longed for. The opera theater manager Na Ye came to choose play for the birthday celebration for the former eunuch Zhang Gonggong. He noticed the handsome Xiao Douzi, but was disappointed to see that he couldn't accurately perform a girl. In order to help him complete his role and save this once-in-a-life opportunity for the whole troupe, Xiao Shito smashed a hot hopper smoke pipe straight into Xiao Douzi's mouth, forcing him to comprehensively presume his female role.
小尼姑年方28，正青春被师傅削去了头发。我本是女娇娥，又不是男儿郎。 为何腰系黄绦，身穿直多，见人家夫妻们洒落。
Starting from now, a life and destiny is changed. The soul of drama is attached to Xiao Douzi, overlapping to his original being, and finally replaced it. At eunuch Zhang's birthday banquet, Xiao Shito and Xiao Douzi's play Farewell My Concubine amazed the whole audience. The two boys found the precious sword in the lounge. Xiao Shito, who played the role of the overlord, was envious, and Xiao Douzi wished he could get him this treasure. That day, the perverted eunuch Zhang Gonggong raped Xiao Douzi. The next morning, Master Guan and Xiao Shito went to receive him home. Xiao Douzi felt unspeakable humiliation and grievance. The cry from a street abandoned baby touched the softest part in his heart. Regardless of the master's advice, he insisted on taking him to the opera troupe. Time flies to 1937. Xiao Douzi and Xiao Shito graduated from the opera troupe. They have become famous Beijing opera singers in the stage name of Cheng Dieyi and Duan Xiaolong. Their joint performance Farewell My Concubine was typically well received with extremely exciting box office. Dieyi was even more indistinguishable from drama, which amazed all the fans, including Master Yuan, a powerful figure in the operatic profession. Master Yuan presented Dieyi jewelry to show his admiration, but he confronted Xiaolou with a fault-finding jealousy. Xiaolou insisted on staging with his real quality performance rather than being patron, and he hated the rich and powerful who fashioned playing with actors. He refused Master Yuan's dinner invitation on the excuse of a brothel engagement, and rarely left Dieyi alone after Master Yuan's retreat. In the brothel, in order to help his favorable girl Ju Xian, Xiaolou created a story that she was engaged to him and beat up those who insulted her. Jie Yi was jealous when he heard about it. He asked Xiaolou to keep his early promise to sing with him for the rest of their lives, and to stick together with him till death like the overlord Ba Wang and his concubine Yu Ji.
就让我跟你好好唱一辈子戏，不行吗？
这不小半辈子都唱过来了。
不行，说的是一辈子，差1年、1个月、1天、1个时辰，都不算一辈子。
蝶衣，你可真是不疯魔不成活呀！唱戏得疯魔，不假，可要是活着也疯魔，在这人世上，在这凡人堆里，咱们可怎么活哟？来，给师哥勾勾脸。
In the eyes of the brothel girl, Ju Xian, who were used to hard and cruel life, the man who caught her downstairs in the brothel, and the majestic overlord on the stage had merged into one, a man that she could trust and love for life. She gave everything she had to redeem herself out of the brothel, and went to Xiaolou barefoot to show her determination to really marry him. Xiaolou was moved and announced their real engagement at the spot. Jie Yi, who was burning with jealousy, brought Ju Xian a pair of actor's stage shoes and sneered at her harshly. Xiaolou didn't understand Jie Yi's strange attitude. He was more pissed off when Jie Yi mentioned Master Yuan.
姓袁的他管得着姓段的吗？我是假霸王，你是真虞姬，让他再陪你一个人去吧。
师哥，师哥。
Feeling dead, Jie Yi saw another gift from Master Yuan, a pair of tail feather pulled from a live pheasant, so rare and brilliant because of the severe pain. Now a woman pulled his brother away from his life. The pain is much more unbearable than anything a pheasant could imagine. Master Yuan's invitation was a temptation, a threat, and a life-saving straw for lonely Jie Yi. He told Jie Yi that in this world, there's fullness in both men and women. Only the Guanyin Bodhisattva embodies both male and female essences that can have real ecstasy. Jie Yi felt uneasy about Master Yuan's confession. He turned his head away and unexpectedly found the very sword that he and his brother met in Eunuch Zhang's lounge, the one that he had been searching for long for his brother. A precious sword should reward a soulmate. Perhaps it's for the sake of the sword, perhaps because of the betrayal of the sword's rightful owner. Jie Yi became Master Yuan's intimate friend. Outside, the Japanese soldiers had already entered the city. In the ghostly misty night, spiritless Jie Yi brought the sword to Xiaolou. However, at this moment Xiaolou didn't recognize the sword, nor did he understand why he needed it off the stage. Heartbroken, Jie Yi announced that he would never sing together with his brother. Now the theater is decorated with Japanese national flags and a banner of the Great East Asia Co-Prosperity. Japanese military officers and Master Yuan sat in the main and side VIP seats respectively, while Jie Yi alone was performing the famous Beijing opera serial The Drunken Beauty, featuring the famous imperial concubine Yang Guifei from Tang Dynasty when she was once sadly deserted by her emperor. She was beautifully drunk, in great unspeakable resentment. Suddenly, anti-Japanese leaflets scattered all over the excited audiences. The wartime power outage added up to the chaotic scene, but none of these affected Jie Yi's devoting performance. In the backstage, Xiaolou beat up secret security guard who violated theater rules to police the curious Japanese officer with his costume. Xiaolou was captured by the Japanese. To save him out, Jie Yi meant to waste no time to sing for the Japanese military officer Aoki. But he forced Ju Xian to promise to leave Xiaolou once he's out. Jie Yi's performance won applause from the Japanese. Aoki's respect and understanding of Beijing opera also made him excited. Xiaolou was released. When he learned that Jie Yi was singing for the Japanese, he spat on his face and again fiercely went away with Ju Xian. In the night, the gunshots of the Japanese killing Chinese people made Jie Yi, who cared only about arts, feel even more lonely, frightened, and lost. Ju Xian did not leave Xiaolou. She married him with a proper wedding as she wished. At the wedding ceremony, instead of being conventionally led by bridesmaids through the paved red carpet, she lifted her hijab and kicked open the carpet roll all by herself and walked straight to the man she liked. She asked Xiaolou to leave the stage and have a simple, peaceful life with her in the worldly world. Meanwhile, Master Yuan wanted to persuade Jie Yi to let go of Xiaolou with the rare discord "Farewell, my concubine," because the alias of tortoise in Chinese is overlord, and the homonym of chicken is concubine. When the tortoise bites on a chicken, it will stick to it and never open its mouth to let go. That is how his throat can be cut open by a cook. Jie Yi was heartbroken. He looked at Master Yuan, who was also wearing the overlord's face. If his brother wasn't his real overlord, could the man in front of him be the one? Away from the stage, Xiaolou indulged in cricket fighting gambling, actually feeling depressed. Jie Yi, who was unable to share the stage with his brother, turned to cigarettes and opium and cared no more about his voice. Their former teacher, Master Guan, heard about this and called for them. A master for a day is a father for a life. The two filial students immediately presented themselves. In a way he used to teach them, Master Guan reminded two not to forget Beijing opera and not to forget to help each other. Ju Xian could not bear to see her husband beaten like a child and accused the master of only punishing Xiaolou, who had stopped acting, but connived Jie Yi, who does sodomy. Her horrible indication intrigued a heartbeat on her from her husband. The two brothers performed together again, but Master Guan soon died of old age on the teaching stage. His opera training troupe was disbanded. Jie Yi found that the baby he brought back from the street had grown into a boy who was determined to be a successful singer. Jie Yi took him home and trained him by heart himself. In 1945, the Japanese surrendered. During a condolences performance to the National Army, some soldiers molested Jie Yi on the stage with flashlights. Xiaolou begged them to abide by the theater rules and said that even Japanese didn't behave like that. This remark ignited even greater anger from the mobbish soldiers and induced a fierce group fighting. In an effort to protect Xiaolou, pregnant Ju Xian got hit and lost her baby, while Jie Yi was taken by the police as traitor to the country, for he had sung for Japanese. In order to save Jie Yi, Xiaolou and the theater manager Na Ye went to beg Master Yuan, who was still an important figure after the Japanese. Master Yuan took the opportunity to humiliate Xiaolou when Ju Xian broke in with the sword Jie Yi got from him, reminding him of his intimacy with Jie Yi and the fact that to protect Jie Yi is to protect himself. She hoped that Master Yuan can take Jie Yi away from Xiaolou, just like taking back the sword. Before the trial, Ju Xian went to the prison to inform Jie Yi, asking him to say that he was forced to sing for the Japanese with gun threats and tortures. She also showed Jie Yi the written promise from Xiaolou, saying that he would part ways with Jie Yi after the case, as Ju Xian saw it unhealthy for these two being together. At the trial scene, Master Yuan successfully refuted the accusation against Jie Yi. However, Jie Yi, who didn't know how to lie since childhood, not only denied that Japanese forced him to sing, but also said that if Aoki was alive, Beijing opera would have been introduced to Japan. In fact, what he really wanted to say to the world at that moment was, Just when everyone thought Jie Yi was sure to die, a performance request from a senior officer of the National Party got Jie Yi immediately released on bail. Once released, Jie Yi buried himself in opium. One day, his adopted son Xiao Si found Xiaolou and Ju Xian selling watermelons on the street. Through Xiao Si, Jie Yi once again present Xiaolou the precious sword that Master Yuan returned him. At that time, the Kuomintang had been defeated and was about to flee, and soon the Communist Party entered Beijing city. Jie Yi and Xiaolou were arranged to perform in the newly decorated theater again. Jie Yi, who smoked opium for a long time, broke his voice on the stage. but the People's Liberation Army in the audience unexpectedly gave them kind applause. They immediately turned opera theater into a venue where revolutionary songs were sung in one tune. This scene surprised and moved everyone in Xiaolou's group, while Xiao Si, a young man who yearned feverishly for a new world, was even more shocked and excited. To welcome a new life, Tie Yi tried to quit opium with the help of Xiaolou and Ju Xian. In the meanwhile, the Communist Party's liquidation of the old forces was also in full swing. Master Yuan, who thrived through various regions, is now classified as reactionary bully in operatic profession and was shot with dogmatic trial. However, although also puzzled, Xiao Si actively joined the crowd shouting fanatical and cruel revolutionary slogans. When Tie Yi had a hard time quit smoking, only Xiaolou and Ju Xian were with him. His adopted son and student Xiao Si spent all his time attending various political meetings, which annoyed Ju Xian, who has begun to have sympathy for Tie Yi. With the founding of New China, modern New Beijing opera plays were encouraged by the government, while many traditional plays depicting talents and beauties were suppressed because they were far from the themes of laboring class revolution. Tie Yi spoke sincerely opposing roughening and the politicizing of Beijing opera and got himself suppressed. While Xiao Si, who was eager for a quick success and now resentful to Tie Yi's old-fashioned discipline, took the opportunity to snatch the role of Tie Yi away from him. This time, the overlord Xiaolou was unable to protect or even stand with his concubine Tie Yi. The high political pressure made everyone, including Tie Yi, to urge Xiaolou to go on the stage to sing a play he didn't want to perform. Xiaolou started singing. Ju Xian was relieved, though she was the only one who accompanied Tie Yi in the deserted backstage and helped him put on Yu Ji's cloak that she knew only he deserved to wear. The next day, Xiaolou came to persuade Tie Yi to adapt to the new government in order to get unsealed. But Tie Yi refused. Why Yu Ji had to die, she chose to stick to her own ideals. In 1966, the Cultural Revolution began. Unlike any previous revolution or regime change in the land of China, the Great Proletarian Culture Revolution employed non-stop broadcasting, slogans, and big character posters as the medium to investigate each soul and to fix their political stance. It was a campaign designed to transform everyone into a strong communist who conforms to the aesthetic standards of the laboring class. Those who refused to be reformed were announced the enemies of all people and were mercilessly suppressed and eliminated. Once authorized, the encouraged ignorant youth spared no efforts to overthrow and destroy everything, thinking that is revolution. People were induced or driven into craziness, from fanatical beliefs, blind obedience, to the point when everyone felt unsafe. To protect themselves, they went all out to sell others and all good things they could reach. The storm was approaching. Ju Xian dreamed that the overlord whom she had always loved and protected, and whom she managed to pull from a hero stage to the model world, was about to leave her. When spiritual safety and desire cannot be satisfied, people turn to physical intercourse to believe they are not lonely. Such desperate mortal act touched Tie Yi, who was peeping outside. But he could not follow suit. He was not in such mortal life. Once again, he had to live alone in the stormy night. Under the aggressive interrogation, Xiaolou was no longer the heroic Xiao Shitou who saved the stage for his troupe. Nor was he the heroic Mr. Duan who saved the girl he liked. His hard head that used to break bricks now got crushed open with a brick handed to him by an old friend. Like all the once high-spirited heroes, he was pressed to the ground to see his own pettiness. During the Cultural Revolution, many former authorities in the literary and art circle were labeled as ghosts and monsters. They were made to parade on the street, dressed up like clowns, to accept the trial of the people, represented by the fiercely fanatic but ignorant youths called Red Guards. When Xiaolou panicked and distorted his facial makeup, properly dressed Tie Yi came over to correct his stage face. Perhaps to him there's not much difference between sharing a stage with his brother for performing or for being denounced together. Being together with him was all that he cared about. However, endless parades, physical tortures, being repeatedly reported against and pushed to report against others, all these forced Xiaolou to succumb. He agreed to expose and denounce Tie Yi, from his obsession to the opera art, to his singing for the Japanese, to his dirty intimacy with Master Yuan, which is utterly unacceptable and humiliating at that time. He lost himself in his dramatic destroying, which satisfied Xiao Si and shocked Ju Xian. To please the audience, Xiaolu threw the sword that symbolized the old era into the fire, which was rescued by Ju Xian. Now only she understood how much love this sword had carried between these two men and how much it meant to Die Yi. Feeling deeply betrayed and deceived, Die Yi also stood up to expose Xiaolu, but what he wanted to express was his sadness at the destruction of all the beautiful things. Then he poured out his accumulated resentment against Ju Xian, who he believed had taken his brother away from him. When people targeted Ju Xian for denouncing, the Red Guards forced Xiaolu to say that he didn't love her, and Xiaolu even more obsessively announced that he would part with her completely. The fire of love in Ju Xian's heart was scorched into ash. After one round of denouncing, she returned the sword to Die Yi, who collapsed on the side of the mass destroyer. She was about to leave, but she didn't forget to turn back and give poor Die Yi a warm and forgiving smile. It was a woman's understanding and sympathy for another woman, because neither she nor he had really got their overlord. Ju Xian hanged herself wearing her wedding dress. She came with barefoot and left also with barefoot. In the end, she still failed to wear the shoes that carried her dream of a simple, happy life. When she was found, the modern Beijing opera Red Lantern was playing in the radio, which told a heroic and tragic revolutionary story. In the rehearsal hall where the revolutionary quotations were posted, Xiao Si, who won the role of concubine Yu Ji with a red armband, was finally able to try on his long-coveted head jewelry from Die Yi, but his true feelings for the gorgeous ornaments would make him the next target of denouncing. 11 years later, the Cultural Revolution ended. Die Yi and Xiaolu returned to the stage together, but they were both old. They put on their old costume for a rehearsal of the play Farewell My Concubine, looking at his Yu Ji, who was watching him affectionately like many years before. Old Xiaolu remembered the old time. He deliberately drew out the part of a dream in the world outside the nanny, the part Xiao Douzi couldn't pass at the beginning. But the sentence, "I am by nature a boy," made Die Yi's mind wander out. He seemed to suddenly wake up. Was everything actually made wrong in this life? He pulled out the precious sword he gave his brother and died like the concubine Yu Ji in front of the man she loved for life, and died in a costume that protected and smoothed him for a life. Heartbroken, would Xiao Shitou feel a relief for his brother, as the evil fate of Xiao Douzi might finally have a satisfactory end? Farewell My Concubine was filmed by Chen Kaige, the fifth-generation film director in mainland China, based on the original work of Li Bihua, a talented Chinese writer living in Hong Kong. Upon the release in 1993, the film broke the box office record of mainland Chinese feature films in the United States and is considered to be the pinnacle Chinese language films until today. The film won the Palme d'Or, the highest award at the 46th Cannes International Film Festival in France. In 2005, the film was selected into 100 best movies in global history by Time magazine in the United States. The famous Beijing opera piece Farewell My Concubine in this movie is based on the historical story of two military forces fighting for the throne in the late Qing dynasty around 202 before Christ. Xiang Yu, the overlord of Chu state, was once the greatest lord and military leader of the time, was defeated by Liu Bang, who turned to be the first emperor of the Han dynasty. The literal meaning of Ba Wang in Chinese indicates a heroic spirit that is powerful and unyielding. However, a hero may not be favored by fate, and a brave and persistent pursuit for love and life sometimes leads to tragical end. Born in a chaotic world, neither humble Xiaolu or powerful Master Yuan, who played the overlord on and off the stage, can break the cruel prestige of the reality. Neither Die Yi nor Ju Xian, the concubine Yu Ji on and off the stage, can escape death. Some people say Farewell My Concubine is a masterpiece Chinese LGBT film, but many people do not agree to classify the love between Die Yi and Xiaolu into homosexuality. Xiaolu's affection for Die Yi is brotherly love from the beginning to the end, while Die Yi's attachment to Xiaolu is because psychologically he has completely become a woman. This deep agreement to his female role required by the stage and the world, and his obsession with the ideal art made him unable to return to a mortal life demanding all common senses. Chinese culture emphasized a balance of living inside and outside of the mortal world, leveraging the three major schools of thinking, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism. For a certain level of freedom, one should use the Confucian principles to perfect himself, to fit a society and excel. Within the existing social structure, you must take whatever it takes and try your best to actualize yourself. On the other hand, it is necessary to judge the situation, to understand what can and cannot be done. One has to use the Taoism concept of following the will of heaven to give up some obsessions and integrate himself into reality. If neither of them can be obtained, or if they fail to be balanced for a real life, the last choice is to abandon all and pray to the Buddha for a better next life. In this 170 minutes movie, Farewell My Concubine, every shot has a deep meaning and not 1 second is redundant. Through all the small figures' humble pursuit of love and life, people can see a picture of recent historical changes on the vast land of China. No nation has endured as many catastrophes as the Chinese in the past century, and the greatest devastation to humanity and culture was the Cultural Revolution. It is a pity that until today, our nation has not been able to make a fundamental and thorough reflection on this apocalypse. It is also a great pity that such so-called revolutions that violate humanity and nature did not only happen in China, nor did it only happen yesterday. Today we have seen that some people still try to realize their self-interest in the name of nationalism. Some human-destroying madness is still waiting for an opportunity to burst out all over the world. No matter how the world changes, man must listen to the opera. And living without dream is not life. Hope today we all can have more freedom to live with affection and righteousness in this chaotic yet beautiful mortal world. Well, that is all for the sharing about the movie Farewell My Concubine. This is Ray. If you like it, please remember to subscribe, like and share, and comment to give your advice and suggestions. Thank you for your support. I will see you next time. 是泪眼朦胧，忘了我就没有痛，
忘了你也没有用，
将往事留。